What happens when a brand becomes so popular that nobody wants to wear it anymore? If you walked down any street, through any mall, or into any office building in 2014, you saw it. The golden MK circle dangling from the strap of a leather tote bag. It was everywhere. Michael Kors wasn't just a designer label. It was the defining accessory of an entire decade. It was the bag that signaled you had arrived, but without the crushing price tag of a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton. And for a few years, that formula made Michael Kors one of the most powerful names in American fashion. The company went public, the stock exploded, and the man behind the name became a billionaire. But that exact same formula, the relentless expansion, the endless discounts, the sheer ubiquity of that golden logo, is exactly what tore the empire apart. Today, the stock has crashed. A massive $8.5 billion merger has been blocked by the government, and the holding company built to rival European luxury giants is bleeding hundreds of millions of dollars. So what actually happened? How does a brand go from defining accessible luxury to becoming the ultimate cautionary tale of overexposure? And more importantly, can a brand that lost its prestige ever convince people to pay full price again? This story of Michael Kors doesn't start in a corporate boardroom or a Parisian atelier. It starts in a small boutique in Manhattan, with a teenager who understood exactly what women wanted to wear before he even knew how to build a business. Before the golden logos and the outlet malls, Michael Kors was just a kid from Long Island with an obsession for fashion. He dropped out of the Fashion Institute of Technology after just 9 months to take a job at Lothar's, a trend-setting boutique on West 57th Street, where he wasn't just folding clothes, but designing them and talking directly to the wealthy New York women who shopped there. That direct contact gave him something most young designers never get: an unfiltered understanding of the customer. He realized that American women didn't want stiff, complicated European couture. They wanted clothes that looked expensive but felt effortless, sportswear with a touch of glamour. In 1981, at just 22 years old, he launched his own label. His first collection was picked up by Bergdorf Goodman and Saks Fifth Avenue. For the next decade, Kors quietly built a reputation as the master of American luxury sportswear. Not trying to be avant-garde or shocking, just making women look rich, relaxed, and perfectly put together. And that instinct eventually caught the attention of the biggest players in the world. In 1997, the French luxury conglomerate LVMH tapped Kors to become the first ever women's ready-to-wear designer for Celine. It was a massive validation. An American sportswear designer taking the reins of a historic Parisian house. And he delivered. For 7 years, Kors injected Celine with a sleek, jet-set glamour that revitalized the brand and proved he could operate at the absolute highest levels of global luxury. But while he was designing for the elite in Paris, a completely different opportunity was brewing back home. One that would take his name out of the exclusive boutiques and put it into the living rooms of millions of Americans. In 2004, Michael Kors made a decision that most high-fashion designers at the time would have considered the ultimate career sabotage. He agreed to become a judge on a new reality television show called Project Runway. At the time, the fashion industry was notoriously secretive and elitist. Designers stayed behind the scenes, speaking only through their collections and exclusive magazine interviews. But Kors stepped right in front of the camera. Week after week, he delivered sharp, hilarious, and brutally honest critiques to aspiring designers. He was witty, he was tanned, and he was undeniably charismatic. And the impact was immediate. Project Runway became a massive cultural phenomenon. And Michael Kors became a household name. He wasn't just a designer anymore, he was a celebrity. Millions of women who had never set foot in Bergdorf Goodman suddenly knew exactly who Michael Kors was. And more importantly, they wanted a piece of his world. The timing couldn't have been better. Just as his television fame was exploding, the company launched Michael Kors, a diffusion line aimed squarely at the accessible luxury market. This was the genius pivot. Instead of trying to sell $2,000 cashmere coats to a tiny fraction of the population, Kors started selling $300 leather handbags, $200 oversized watches, and $100 aviator sunglasses to the masses. It was the exact same jet-set aesthetic he had perfected for decades, but manufactured at a price point that the middle class could actually afford. The strategy worked flawlessly. Women didn't just buy the bags, they collected them. The golden MK logo became a status symbol for college students, young professionals, and suburban moms across the country. It was the perfect middle ground. Expensive enough to feel like a treat, but accessible enough to actually buy. And by 2011, the momentum was unstoppable. The company went public in one of the most successful fashion IPOs in history, raising nearly $1 billion and valuing the brand at $3.8 billion. Over the next 3 years, the stock price skyrocketed, peaking at over $100 a share in 2014. Revenue exploded from around $800 million to over $4.7 billion. Michael Kors had officially conquered American retail. He was a billionaire, his stores were packed, and his logo was everywhere. But in the fashion industry, everywhere is the most dangerous place a brand can be. Because the problem with selling a status symbol is that it only works if it actually conveys status. And status, by definition, requires a certain level of exclusivity. As the company chased quarter after quarter of relentless Wall Street growth, they opened the floodgates. They built hundreds of new retail stores. They expanded massively into department stores like Macy's and Dillard's, and most destructively, they aggressively expanded their outlet store network. Suddenly, you didn't have to save up for a Michael Kors bag. You could just drive to the nearest outlet mall and buy one for 60% off. Or you could wait for the inevitable department store weekend sale. The brand had crossed a fatal line. What once felt aspirational had become common. The golden MK logo no longer signaled that you were part of an exclusive jet-set lifestyle. It signaled that you had found a good deal at the mall. By 2015, the cracks were impossible to ignore. For the first time since the IPO, same-store sales began to drop. The market was completely saturated. Women who had bought 3 or 4 Kors bags over the previous years simply didn't need another one, especially when everyone else in their office already had the exact same tote. And once a brand enters the discount cycle, it is incredibly difficult to get out. Because the product was everywhere, retailers had to slash prices to move inventory. When prices were slashed, the perceived value of the brand plummeted. What used to feel premium started to feel disposable. The stock price collapsed, falling from its peak of over $100 down to the $40 range. The financial press, which had spent years praising the company's explosive growth, suddenly turned on them. Articles began appearing with titles like "The Coming Crash of Michael Kors" and "Popular or Overexposed." The brand had fallen into the classic accessible luxury trap. They had traded long-term brand equity for short-term revenue growth. And now, the bill was coming due. The executives knew the brand was in serious trouble. Simply opening more outlet stores and discounting more bags wasn't going to save them. The company needed a new narrative, one that would prove to the world that Michael Kors was still a serious luxury player. And their solution wasn't to fix the bags, it was to buy other brands. If you can't grow your own brand, you buy someone else's. In 2017, the company made a shocking move, acquiring the legendary British shoemaker Jimmy Choo for $1.2 billion. It was a clear signal to the market. We aren't just a mall brand anymore. We are building a luxury conglomerate. But they didn't stop there. A year later, in 2018, they stunned the fashion world by acquiring the iconic Italian house Versace for $2.1 billion. To reflect this massive shift, the company officially changed its name from Michael Kors Holdings to Capri Holdings. The ambition was staggering. CEO John Idol publicly declared that Capri Holdings was going to become the American equivalent of LVMH or Kering, a multi-brand luxury powerhouse. The goal was to hit $8 billion in total revenue, with Michael Kors bringing in $5 billion, Versace delivering $2 billion, and Jimmy Choo contributing $1 billion. On paper, it looked like a brilliant escape route. By associating the struggling Michael Kors brand with the high-end prestige of Versace and Jimmy Choo, they hoped a halo effect would lift the entire portfolio. But building a luxury conglomerate takes more than just a checkbook. It takes flawless execution. And Capri Holdings stumbled almost immediately. And crucially, as the corporate machinery expanded, Michael Kors, the designer, the tanned, charismatic personality who had made the brand feel personal and aspirational, had become almost invisible in its creative direction. The man who once walked Bergdorf Goodman floors talking directly to customers was now the face on the label of a company run by spreadsheets. Instead of letting Versace be the loud, audacious, Baroque brand it had always been, Capri tried to commercialize it. They pushed to tone down the wild prints, raise the prices, and pivot toward the quiet luxury trend that was sweeping the industry. It was a disastrous miscalculation. Loyal Versace customers felt alienated by the boring new designs, and quiet luxury shoppers already had brands like the Row or Prada. Meanwhile, the core Michael Kors brand was still bleeding. The company tried to artificially force the brand back upmarket by drastically raising prices on ready-to-wear clothing by 20% to 40%. But you can't just slap a higher price tag on a brand that consumers have been trained to buy on discount for a decade. The customers completely rejected it. That was a mistake, CEO John Idle later admitted to analysts. The customer came back and said, "That's not exactly what we expect from Michael Kors." They were forced to quietly lower the prices back down, further damaging the brand's credibility. By 2023, the grand vision of Capri Holdings was falling apart. The $8 billion revenue target was a fantasy. Instead of lifting Michael Kors up, the holding company was dragging Versace and Jimmy Choo down with it. They needed a bailout. And for a brief moment, it looked like they had found one. In August 2023, the fashion world was rocked by a massive announcement. Tapestry, the parent company of Coach and Kate Spade, agreed to buy Capri Holdings for $8.5 billion. It was supposed to be the ultimate consolidation of American, accessible luxury. By combining Coach, Kate Spade, Michael Kors, Versace, and Jimmy Choo under one roof, they would finally have the scale to compete with the European giants. For Capri's shareholders, it was a massive relief. They were getting bought out at a premium, and the headache of fixing Michael Kors would become someone else's problem. But the United States government had other plans. In April 2024, the Federal Trade Commission sued to block the merger, arguing that combining Coach and Michael Kors would eliminate competition in the accessible luxury handbag market, leading to higher prices for working-class consumers. The companies fought back, arguing that the handbag market was highly fragmented and that accessible luxury wasn't even a real legal market definition. But in October 2024, a federal judge sided with the FTC and officially blocked the $8.5 billion deal. The collapse of the merger was a devastating blow. Capri Holdings' stock price plummeted instantly. They were suddenly trapped in a burning building with no emergency exit. And the financial reality inside that building is grim. By early 2026, the numbers coming out of Capri Holdings were nothing short of catastrophic. The company posted a staggering $1.18 billion loss for fiscal 2025, and total revenues plummeted 21% in just 2 years. The Michael Kors brand, the supposed crown jewel that still accounts for nearly 70% of the company's revenue, has bled over $860 million in sales since 2023. In a desperate move to stop the bleeding, Capri announced in April 2025 that they were selling Versace to Prada for $1.375 billion. It was a humiliating retreat because they had bought the iconic Italian house for $2.1 billion just 7 years earlier, meaning they were offloading it at a massive $700 million loss. The dream of the American luxury conglomerate was officially dead. Today, Michael Kors stands at a perilous crossroads. The brand that once defined a decade of American fashion is now fighting just to stabilize its declining sales. They are closing stores, cutting costs, and trying desperately to find a balance between the prestige they want and the discounts their customers demand. There are faint glimmers of hope. Recent analyst upgrades suggest the massive bleeding might finally be slowing down, and the company insists their turnaround plan is taking root. But the damage to the brand's identity is deep, and in fashion, perception is reality. So here is the question I'll leave you with. When a brand spends a decade training its customers to wait for the 60% off sale at the outlet mall, can it ever truly convince them that the logo is worth paying full price again? Or is Michael Kors destined to remain a ghost of its 2014 peak, forever trapped by the very success that built it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.